Okay, so the next book is... Okay, the next book is The Invisible Boy by Trudy, Ludwig, illustrated by Patrice, Barton. So there is a boy named Brian who is over here. While looking at it, at first I thought his hair was black, but then I realized that it was blonde. So I realized that the gray part was the invisibility thing. Like the invisibility spell. So basically, Brian, he always felt invisible. Like nobody was ever paying attention to him. Like nobody ever paid attention to him. And it was really sad for Brian. Then a new guy came over and people laughed at him for his lunch. So basically, he feels invisible. And even the teacher doesn't notice him because she has to deal with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with his inside voice. He always uses his outside voice. And Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. So that's the problem with those. So Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space, but Brian doesn't. When they're playing a ball game, well, they start off with choosing the best players. Micah and GT, they start off by choosing the best players, and then they choose the best friends of the best players, and then the friends of the best players, and only Brian is left, still waiting and hoping, but he never gets picked. So at lunch, he never has anybody to talk to, and he really doesn't like it. But at choosing time, while other kids play board games and read and stuff, Brian just sits at his table and draws. So then a new boy comes in. He is Justin. And other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he is cool enough to be their friend. But Brian, he likes Justin. Then at lunchtime, Justin has his lunch and Madison and JT are like, "What is that?" And he replies, "It's bulgogi, or Korean barbecued beef." And everybody just laughs at him for eating that stuff. So Brian's like, what's worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible? Thanks for the gift stub. No problem, I give you. So the next day, Justin finds a note in his cubby with his name on it. So it's from Brian, and he says, "I thought the bulgogi looked good," with a little picture of him eating bulgogi and saying yum. Then at recess, Justin comes over and thanks Brian for the note. He also says that he has a pretty cool drawing because he is at the place and he is drawing some stuff with chalk. So then Mrs. Calguru asked the kids to team up in 2s or 3s for a special project. So Brian heads towards Justin, but Emilio says, I'm already with Justin, find someone else. Justin says, well, Mrs. Calguru said we can have up to 3 people in a group, so why don't we let Justin come on and play? No, come on and walk with us. So the project is to walk together and write a story about what you see in a photograph that she gives them. So Brian, he draws people to be inside the photograph, and they have a little plaything. Then at lunch, Brian's least favorite part of the day, which is 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone but him. But then Justin and Emilio have Brian come over to their table and they have lunch with him. Then Brian, well, he doesn't feel as invisible. And maybe, just maybe, the book says, Brian is not so invisible after all. So I think the message of this story is that you be nice to somebody, they'll be nice to you. And maybe you'll make friends with their friends. And then you'll have lots of friends. So I think that was a really fun book. I really like the moral to it. And I love how it's like, if you be nice to somebody, it'll come back to you. And if you don't be nice to somebody, it'll come back to you. So however you treat somebody, well, it'll come back to you. So treat them good. Good things will happen. Treat them bad things will happen. And I really like that. I think it's a really nice moral. I really like the story, and the illustrations are really cute. I like how Brian is all grey and invisible, but when somebody shows an act of kindness to him, he starts to gain his true color. I think that's a really nice thing. It is a great book for first graders, and it's pretty easy to read. I give it a 8 out of 10 on the easy to read scale. And I really like Justin because he is really nice to Brian, and like he's just like okay, even if other kids like laugh at him and stuff. As long as there's at least one person in the world who appreciates him, then it's alright with him. And now he has 2 friends. So I give this book a rating of 10 out of 10. I definitely recommend it to any young kids. It's a really nice book. And I think everybody should read this. I think everybody should read a book like this.